Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine Lithuania's winters, right? But no longer reliably dipping below freezing on average.
It's quite a shift.
Yeah, we're talking average winter temperatures potentially turning positive by the end of the century. Maybe up 4.4 degrees Celsius warmer under what they call a high emissions scenario.
Which is basically if we don't get emissions under control globally.
Exactly. So this deep dive, we're looking at Lithuania's climate predictions, what they mean for cities, and, well, the challenges, but also maybe some solutions for resilience.
And what's really striking is how these big climate shifts are already, reshaping things and
Right.
what's still coming.
Right.
Overall, we're looking at temperatures going up maybe 1.2 to 1.3 degrees Celsius in a, let's say, moderate scenario.
Okay.
But it could jump to 2.6, maybe even 2.9 degrees by 2100 compared to like the last 30 years.
It's not even everywhere.
No, it's not uniform. Eastern Lithuania, Vilnius especially, looks set to get the strongest warming.
So when we talk about these big temperature jumps, what's the immediate sort of gut feeling for people? Like, how does this actually feel day to day? Trying to sleep through a heat wave, for instance. Are we talking a lot more of those really sticky nights?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for the practical side of things, you should expect um, a definite rise in heat waves. Could be nearly 5 extra days a year if emissions stay high.
Wow.
And tropical nights, where it doesn't drop below 20 Celsius.
Yeah.
They could become way more frequent, maybe
Yeah.
7 to 13 times more frequent. Just imagine trying to get comfortable then.
13 times.
But it's not just about the heat getting worse. Those really bitter cold days, like below -15,
Yeah.
they could be more than cut in half. And the freeze-thaw cycles, the daily back and forth across 0 degrees that wrecks roads and foundations.
Oh, yeah. Potholes everywhere.
Exactly. Those could drop by maybe up to 42%.
Yeah. Huh. That's a really interesting trade-off. It's not just less cold, it's a different kind of winter pattern. So, what about energy? Swapping frozen pipes for, I don't know, melting tarmac. Does it balance out?
Well, kind of. The heating season for buildings, that could shrink by up to a month.
Okay.
But the flip side is the air conditioning season gets longer by about the same amount. So the key thing here is how the whole energy demand picture shifts.
Right.
You move from needing lots of, say, gas for winter heating to needing much more electricity for summer cooling.
Yeah.
And that has huge implications for the power grid where we need to invest, all that stuff.
Okay, so we've got the heat situation covered, but climate change isn't just temperature, it's messing with weather patterns too. What about water and wind in Lithuania? How does that make things harder for cities?
It's a bit of a weird one with rain. It's sort of paradox. Overall, yes, more precipitation annually, maybe up to 14% more,
More rain overall? Okay.
but it's not spread evenly.
Yeah.
More in the colder months, potentially less right in the middle of summer, like July or August.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the real kicker. Those really heavy downpours, we're talking over 20 millimeters in a day.
Yeah.
They're projected to surge, up to 75% more frequent in places like Klaipėda.
75%. That's a massive jump. And speaking of Klaipėda, the coast must be feeling this in other ways too.
Definitely. Coastal concerns are serious. Baltic sea level rise near Klaipėda, a major port, could be 22 to 35 centimeters by 2100.
That doesn't sound like a lot, but for a port.
It's significant. Threatens infrastructure, ecosystems, communities right on the coast. And it's not just water. There's also a rising fire risk, especially central and northern Lithuania, and maybe along the coast too, partly because of potentially stronger winds in some scenarios.
Okay.
It's quite something how these big global changes hit us right where we live. In cities, they're really vulnerable to that sudden, intense rain causing floods, especially because we have so many impermeable surfaces.
I mean, concrete, asphalt, roofs,
Yeah.
stuff water can't soak into.
Exactly. It just runs off, overwhelms the drains, and makes localized flooding much worse.
So, what does this all mean for Lithuania's sort of urban challenge? I read they rank kind of low among EU countries on sustainable development.
That's right.
And get this, the population has actually gone down in the last couple of decades, but the amount of built-up land has shot up by 30%.
Yeah.
More buildings, fewer people.
Sounds like.
It sounds like a problem, doesn't it?
More than just a quirky statistic,
Yeah.
Especially given that low sustainability ranking. It really suggests maybe priorities and planning have been a bit off.
How so?
Well, it seems like maybe short-term gains from selling land for development have often won out over thinking about long-term resilient communities.
Ah,
So
okay.
green spaces shrink, natural areas get built on, even critical floodplains sometimes, and all that just makes the country less able to cope.
Yeah.
Plus, The basic civil protection stuff like shelters. Apparently, there's only enough space for about 32% of people.
Only a third.
Yeah. It really makes you ask, are we building against nature instead of with it?
That's a really crucial question. So, how do we change course? What's the alternative vision for cities that can actually handle this future?
Well, the proposed idea is a pretty big shift. Moving away from just focusing on individual plots of land towards creating sustainable structural complexes. Think of them as integrated urban units.
Okay, what does that look like?
It means more compact design,
Mm.
getting closer to that 15-minute city idea where you can walk or bike to most essential things easily.
Right.
And these units would have public spaces that do double duty good for leisure, social stuff, but also designed to function as integrated shelters if needed.
Multifunctional spaces.
Exactly. It's about comprehensive planning,
Mm.
creating cities that aren't just economically viable, but also socially strong and ecologically sound.
Hmm?
Cities that are genuinely resilient to climate change and, frankly, other threats too. It's about building smarter and doing it together.
So, if our cities really do reflect our priorities, what kind of future are we currently building? Maybe brick by unsustainable brick. And what's it going to take to really pivot towards a landscape that's resilient and, harmonious?